Anybody who could take on Tatas and Birlas, it was Mr. Jindal,
Oh,
right?
my grandfather. Anywhere we decided to pitch, everybody would be scared.
This home has been a silent witness to the legacy of one of India's most iconic business families, the Jindals. Your grandmother, Savitri Jindal, continues to be an inspiration. She's the richest Indian woman.
True.
So today, I'm here not just to admire the grandeur, but to uncover the memories, stories, and the legacy behind this beautiful white structure. I'm here to meet the eldest grandchild of legendary O.P. Jindal.
I'm Sminu Jindal. In a macho steel business, there's a macho girl.
Age 11, one car accident, and your life changes completely.
My driver jumped out of the car last minute. My sister and me, we went into a deep ditch. We were not attended for 8 hours at least. 11-year-old who's never going to walk again. Family told me, so what? Either you can mop around it or move ahead with your life.
But that didn't stop her, because at 19, she became the first Indian woman to enter into the steel industry.
When I stepped in and people realized that I was the boss there, I had 11 heads move out in a week's time. उनको एक woman को report करने में बहुत तकलीफ थी.
What happened to the business?
When I entered Jindal SAW, it was about 200 crore.
What is the current valuation of the company?
30,000 or something.
Wow. You are running $1 billion worth company, but an airline thought that you're not fit to travel.
Airways did it. I sued them. They did apologize.
So on this episode of Stories from Bharat, we bring to you the journey of a woman who's not only carrying forward India's most iconic legacies, but also redefining the way people with reduced mobility experience life in India.
Hi, Kamiya.
Hello, Svayam.
So nice you could make
Such
it.
Such a pleasure to meet you.
Same here.
And thank you for
Same
having
here.
us over. Wow, you have a beautiful house, I must say.
Aww.
So how often do you come to Mumbai?
Not very often, but of late I've started coming here more often.
Okay, but do you like it here, or are you a Delhi girl?
I love Mumbai weather. The
Okay.
rains, they
Yeah.
specifically want me to be here.
Right, and you are really living in the best part of Mumbai, the OG Mumbai, is it not?
Oh, okay.
You really have a very warm presence.
Oh.
One can meet and instantly feel that about
Oh,
you.
thank you.
तो मैं जानना चाहूंगी, आई एम श्योर बचपन में आप आया करते थे या हमेशा से दिल्ली में ही रहते थे, या इस घर से रिलेटेड कोई आपकी खास यादें हैं?
बहुत सारी यादें हैं. So like my mom and dad, they are like 10 brothers and sister. And in total, we are like more than 30 cousins.
Wow,
you
it's
know,
a huge family.
So it's a big family. So imagine all of us staying in this house, having the celebration here. You know, this used to be our stage. And my cousins coming every day in the morning. The day would start at 10 with my parents screaming ki jaldi utho, sab log ne abhi nashta nahi kiya. So it used to be like a huge, like a party.
Anybody who could take on Tatas and Birlas in those times, it was Mr. Jindal, right?
Oh, my grandfather. He used to be the little horsey on which whom I used to ride at times. We've really had the pleasure, me and my younger sister, the two of us,
Yeah.
because we were the eldest in the family. So we had a lot of time of bonding with our grandparents. He was such a simple human being, so down to earth, no shenanigans like most rich people are, but very, very down to earth, very human. You know, my grandfather, his journey started when he had pipes which were written made in England. And he said, ye main Bharat mein kyun nahi bana sakta? And after him, there's my father, who always wanted things that should be import substitute. So that's where he came into the business of submerged arc welded pipes. And these pipes are used for oil and gas. And that time we used to import all of it. And there used to be a massive amount of import duty. And again, he said, why can't we do it in India? So we were the first ones. And from the moment go, my father, he competed with foreign companies for business. And at one time, he was so formidable that anywhere we decided to pitch or, pitch for the tender or created pricing for it, everybody would be scared that we would get it because we were so competitive.
You have been the eldest grandchild of this illustrious family. I'm sure very, very pampered and loved. How is
Very, very pampered and loved. For me, the best memories were sitting on the dining table, eating with my grandfather, my three chachas, my father, Sajanji, Naveenji, Ratanji, my father, Prithviraj Jindalji, sitting with them, the rest of my cousins, eating dinner. So, along with dinner, we had a lot of business talk happening and we were all soaking it up like sponges.
Your grandmother, Savitri Jindal, continues to be an inspiration, both in the world of business as well as politics. As per media reports, she's the richest Indian woman. What is it that you've learned from her?
She had 10 children she brought up on her own and so many grandchildren. You can imagine I go crazy with two children. I have two boys. So I keep asking her, how did she ever did it? And she just makes it sound like easy breezy. No big deal. I learned my management lessons from her because my grandfather would actually get sometimes 30 people at night and he would just tell her, let's feed them. And she would go in the kitchen and cook up something and come out. People think women cannot be managers, but at home, if we really see them operate, they do everything themselves. They're admin in charge, they're marketing in charge, they're purchase in charge, they're everything all rolled into one.
Working with a lot of women, I feel like if you ever want to learn time management skills, learn it from a married woman or a
True.
mother. The
True.
way she does it all.
I agree with you. You know how to take a quick bath while your child is just sleeping for
Yeah.
15 minutes before the baby wakes up.
Growing up, who has been the biggest influence in your life?
That I learned a lot from my grandmom in terms
Yeah.
of management. My grandfather, I learned how humble and how down to earth a person can be. And he used to tell me, Sminu, तुम्हारे दरवाजे किसी के लिए भी बंद हो, पर तुम्हारे लेबर के लिए हमेशा खुले होने चाहिए. तभी कंपनी चलती है. जब आपके लिए जो कोई काम करता है, उसको रोटी, कपड़ा, मकान की चिंता नहीं होनी चाहिए. We always have schools, hospitals. So the CSR thing was always ingrained in us and it started very early in life. My Chacha, Naveen Chacha, I feel that man has Midas touch. He touches anything and it turns into gold.
The drive clearly runs in the blood of Jindal
Absolutely.
family.
That I agree. We're very stubborn people if you really
Yeah.
look at it that way, but very determined and want to chase our dreams no matter what.
Was that always the case, Meenuji, for you, that since childhood you wanted to do something that would make a difference?
I was very young when I decided that I wanted to join business and nothing else but business. I was 6 years old and I told my father, I'll start the business from here, from where you sit, and I'm going to do exactly what you do. You wait and watch. My father used to say, I'll get you married. But
Really?
yeah, but somehow I feel sometimes maybe being on a wheelchair decided my fate that I'm going to stand on my own 2 feet and I'm going to work and I'm going to make it.
Age 11, one car accident, and your life changes completely. Can you take us back to that day of what really happened and what is it that you remember of that day?
I was a young child, so excited to go back home from Jaipur. My chacha, Ratan Chacha, he was getting married. So we were going for that. So I didn't want to wait even like a second. My parents wanted me to come by plane, but I was so insistent. No, I want to just leave the minute my exam gets over. I had like a sixth sense somehow. Sitting in the car, I felt that I will never come back to Maharani Gayatri Devi again to study. And both me and my sister were very uncomfortable, but like kids we want to shrug that off and we want to go for the party. And the driver was driving very fast, but I didn't tell him to stop even though I was nervous because I just wanted to reach home fast. But we met with a very nasty accident and my driver jumped out of the car last minute. My sister and me, we went hurtling down. We went into a deep ditch. We were not attended for 8 hours at least. That's what my sister tells me. I had a very bad brain hemorrhage, nose bone flew out. I had spinal cord injury. So people thought I hadn't survived. But my sister, She had compound fractures and multiple fractures, but she was coherent. So she screamed for help, and that's it. It changed my life. We realized after a bout of me being in coma for about a month. So when I came round, that's when we realized that there was a spinal cord injury, and my life changed after that completely.
My God, this must have been deeply painful for the entire family, the
Of
whole
course,
incident.
naturally, a small child, 11-year-old who's never going to walk again, was something it took a while for it to seep in.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very fortunate to be blessed with a family that told me, so what? Either you can mop around it or move ahead with your life. There are people who are far worse.
How did you
And
all take in and get the courage to be?
quite frankly, at 11, it didn't really hit me. But as I started getting recovered and coming on a wheelchair, my father, he took me to Stoke Mandeville, a place in London, where they rehabbed me. And so they taught me how to live life differently, how to drive my wheelchair everywhere, how to manage little ramps, go to the toilet, wear my clothes differently. And I'm so glad they did it because it made me independent. And then I started living like a regular person. But as one grows up, goes to school, you're afraid how will the students behave in front of
Yeah.
you. Well, I had my cousins there. They used to make sure that nobody talks roughly with me. So from that angle, I'm totally pampered. Then I went to a co-ed college. I'm an SRCC alumni, and so I was very uncomfortable coming in contact with boys till my father reminded me. He said, remember, you were 6 year old, you wanted to do business. So I said, yeah. So he said, then you're going to do business with boys, with men. How are you going to do it if you can't even face them? And so he pushed me. So I went to my college, I adjusted there, and I joined work
Wow.
after my MBA. So there are lots of people who are talented. They're probably just caged up in their golden cages, be it their homes or surroundings. And I think it's the environment that is disabling. A human being is always abled. I urge to people who are going through a challenge themselves and the loved ones with them is to not make them more disabled by giving in to their low moments. Plus, my parents never mollycoddled me. They didn't say, oh, my poor child, let me feed you food. They were like, God's given you two hands that work, do it. So, the whole thing is it's an ecosystem that if a person is going through a trouble phase in their lives, it's important for people around them to understand and look at what they can do and not concentrate on what they can't.
Absolutely. Wow, that makes a lot of sense. You joined at the age of 19 as a management trainee, or
19, I was a management trainee. And so when I finished my college, I was given an opportunity by my dad to turn around a sick unit. And he
Okay.
said, anyways, I'm going to shut this down, but you, the person who's going to look into it, if you can run it, then I know you have it in you to make it in the business world. If it shuts down, remember I gave you a fair chance.
Yeah. Which unit was this?
It was swastik foils.
Okay.
At that time, it was known as that. So, 94, I was given an independent charge. And now, when I stepped in and people realized that I was the boss there, I had 11 heads move out in a week's time.
बस resign कर दिया because they have a
उनको
female boss.
उनको एक वुमन को रिपोर्ट करने में बहुत तकलीफ थी. We are talking about steel business.
Yeah.
It's a macho industry,
Right.
And I was the first woman entrant from that angle. So they just left and they went. I built a new team and then we did it. We turned around in a year's time.
What about your father? उन्होंने सोचा उनके 11 heads जो business अब तक manage कर रहे हैं, वो 11 के 11 छोड़कर जा रहे हैं because उनकी बेटी अब आई है business में. तो उन्होंने आपको नहीं कहा बेटा back seat ले ले, कोई बात नहीं, business चल रहा है, चलने देते हैं.
No, my dad, he was so brave. He just
Yeah.
said कि अब मैंने तुमको प्रॉमिस किया है कि ये तुम करके दिखाओ, कर लोगी तो बात करेंगे. तो अब मैं तुमको फ्री होल्ड देता हूँ. ऐसा होता है, अब तुम्हारे पास नहीं है, अब तुम क्या करोगी? तुम पीछे हटना चाहोगी या अभी भी चैलेंज एक्सेप्टेड? सो आई सेड चैलेंज एक्सेप्टेड और तब किया. And no looking back. I think he must be very proud of me.
Wow, what happened to the business?
It's now doing very well. It's shifted to
Wow.
Bahadurgarh and it's gone on expansion mode from a loss-making unit. Now It's about a 500 crore unit.
Wow,
We
that's
went
some
into,
inspiration.
yeah, we went through BIFR,
Mhm.
but we came out.
You were the first Indian woman to enter into the iron and steel industry. So I really want to know, was that really out of choice and passion?
Oh, pure passion. I love the whole concept of making steel. For me, it's sheer poetry. Kamya, actually, if you ever come down to Delhi, I'll take you to a plant where you can see hot rolled steel come out. And when droplets of water fall on it, it's like the drops, they're jumping on it because their feet are getting burned. It's the most gorgeous sight. Steel factories, they're humongous, they're big, huge machineries. You're in awe. How come something so big moves so poetically? How does it work like that? It's beautiful to come to a plant and watch it work.
Wow, nobody can describe a steel industry in such a creative way. You know what's inspirational? You come from an illustrious family. You are somebody with reduced mobility. You could have had it easy and be comfortable in your confined space, but you really pushed yourself to go out there, start working, still achieving what you did today, turning around a company which was going to be shut down to into a profit making business.
Well, I was told even by people, some of other people in my family, that लड़की है स्टील का बिजनेस कैसे करेगी, तो कैसे करना होगा, ये नहीं कर सकी। मैंने, मेरे को स्टील उठाना थोड़ी ना है, मेरे को तो उन लोगों को मोटिवेट करना है जो स्टील उठाएंगे अपनी मशीनों से. So, and there was very interesting incident that happened in my life. I was about what, 26 or 27 at that time.
Hmm.
And all of us, like
Hmm.
all of us, by that I mean all the women in the world, possibly they want to know whether they've done it well in the business world or not. And I was traveling in airplane at that time. I happened to sit with a person who was working in L&T. I'm a chatterbox, so I started some conversation, and he said, so I asked him, where do you work? He didn't ask me that, but I asked him. He said, I work in L&T. And I'm like, nice. So he said, and so who are you? So I said, I'm from Jindals. I work for the Jindals. So, oh, you work? I said, yeah. Because in a flight, when you're sitting, he doesn't know I have a wheelchair. So I know the Jindals very well. I said, oh, really? They are illustrious. He said, yeah, I know O.P. Jindal. I know Prithviraj Jindal. I know that Sajan Jindal and Ratan Jindal and Naveen Jindal. And I also know their fifth brother, Sminu Jindal. And he's sitting right next to me. I'm like, fifth brother? He said, yeah, Sminu Jindal. I said, Sminu Jindal is the fifth brother? He said, yeah. In fact, he's really, really close to me. And I'm like, oh. But for me, it was a signal that I've arrived in the business world.
Absolutely.
In a macho steel business, there's a
Yeah.
macho girl. Sminu Jindal.
Absolutely. Did you tell him then it's you? Or you
Towards
did
while the flight landed, and we
Yeah.
were coming to Mumbai. So while the flight was landed, I passed him my visiting card. He looked at it and he's like, so I'm like, I'm Svayam Jindal.
Oh, wow.
And he just moves from there like in a split second. But I really, really remember that very fondly. And I really thank him for doing that. If it
Right.
wasn't for him, I wouldn't know I've arrived.
So now that your presence was validated by your co-passenger, what do you think was the biggest milestone for you in the business?
When I entered Jindal SAW,
Yeah.
it was about 200 crore. And currently it's a nice 15,000 crore.
What is the current valuation of the company?
A market cap would be around 30,000 or something.
Wow. You are running a $1 billion worth company, but an airline thought that you're not fit to travel and they asked you to deplane or sign a bond.
Yeah, actually, that was really strange. But sometimes Airways is handled by certain people who have no idea about reduced mobility. So there's nothing wrong with me, but they wanted me to sign an indemnity bond that in case anything happens to me on the craft, my family gets nothing. And I'm like, that's okay. But if I have an accident, then also they're like wiped off the whole issue that I was traveling on my own. And I refused to sign the indemnity bond. I refused to be treated differently, so I sued them. So I persisted. I said the airlines need to issue me a public apology. Private apology won't do. And of course, we didn't take any money from them because that wasn't the purpose. The purpose was once the other airlines saw or what a negative publicity they would be in if they did it to another human being, that they would stop doing it. So we were the first ones who actually broke into journalists also to write about these events. It happened in 2007. Rest, I think everybody can do the math for how long have we been hearing more strongly about incidents if people are roughed up because of their mobility issues.
Which airline was it, and did they finally issue a public apology to
Jet
you?
Airways. Jet Airways did it.
And they did apologize.
They did apologize.
But you didn't keep your role restricted only to boardrooms and business and numbers. You went ahead and started Swayam, an initiative.
I was on a wheelchair that early in life, but I led most of my life thinking that I was the only one who had borne this calamity. When I started working, I realized that the environment, the infrastructure around us was very disabling. I don't know if you remember, but Stephen Hawking had come to India. He couldn't go to Qutub. He couldn't go to Taj. He couldn't do any of those things. And he's a brilliant scientist. None of us, I mean, he can make us feel disabled if we are doing any problems with him. And he was unable to see the beautiful country that we have, India. And so that got me thinking. So we were into dissemination of information via portal in 2000 we started. But that's when I realized it's not enough. I'm going to have to work around policies, around making things accessible. So we started with Kutub. And
So what is Swayam all about? हमारे audiences के लिए अगर आप बता सकते हैं.
स्वयं एक्सेसिबिलिटी के लिए काम करती है. सुरक्षा और सुविधा से अपनी मंजिल तक पहुंचने को एक्सेसिबिलिटी कहते हैं. अगर ये टर्मिनोलॉजी को दिमाग में रख के चलते हैं, देन वी विल रियलाइज कि खाली ये डिजेबल लोगों के लिए नहीं है, पर बहुत सब लोगों के लिए है जो चाहे टेम्पररी या परमानेंट डिजेबिलिटी के फेज से गुजर रहे हैं, या जो एल्डरली हैं, या हर वर्ग का आदमी इस प्रॉब्लम से जूझ रहा है, पर उसे नहीं पता इस प्रॉब्लम का नाम इनएक्सेसिबिलिटी है, जिसको उसने खत्म करनी है ताकि वो बेटर लाइफ जीत सके. 2008 में हमें एक सरप्राइजिंग एस्पेक्ट उसका देखने का मिला कि हमने उसमें और रेड फोर्ट और हुमायूंस टूम का जो हमने अर्निंग्स मिला के देखा, एक न्यूज़पेपर में आया दैट कुतुब had done 11, which was double of what Red Fort and Humayun's tomb had done that year.
Wow.
So that made us feel that what we are saying is true, and it helps because footfall बढ़ता है. आज शायद मैं अपने बच्चों को लेके पिकनिक इतना नहीं जाऊंगी जितने उनके ग्रैंड पेरेंट्स लेके जाएंगे, क्योंकि उनके पास समय है. पर फिर अगर चीज़ एक्सेसिबल नहीं होती तो वहाँ तक वो पहुँच नहीं पाते. स्पेशली दी एल्डरली. हमें सबको पता है कि एल्डरली के पास पैसा होता है, पर वो बाहर नहीं निकल पाते क्योंकि दे डोंट फील सेफ. पार्क जाते हैं तो एक्सेसिबल टॉयलेट नहीं मिलेगा. मरीन ड्राइव पे लंबा चले तो वहाँ कहीं पर भी एक्सेसिबल टॉयलेट नहीं मिलेगा. सो ऑल दीज थिंग्स वी स्टार्टेड टू वर्क अपॉन इन स्वयं. हम चाहते हैं कि पूरा दुनिया सुगम्य बने ताकि हम सब अपनी मर्जी से अपना जीना जी सकें.
किस तरह से आपने इनहेरिटेड साइट्स को एक्सेसिबल बनाया है?
देखिए, कोई भी जगह को एक्सेसिबल बनाने के लिए राइट फ्रॉम द बिगिनिंग काम करना पड़ता है. जैसे अगर आप खाली कुतुब की बात करें तो हमने पार्किंग स्पेस से लेके टिकट काउंटर, एक्सेसिबल वॉशरूम, ऑडियो गाइड, पाथवेज, रैम्प्स, ऑल दैट के ऊपर काम किया. इससे आपको हैरानी होगी ये जान के कि कंजर्वेशन भी बेटर हुआ, बिकॉज व्हेन स्टूडेंट्स केम उनको एक रैम्प के थ्रू अंदर लेके गए और एक तरफ से बाहर लेके गए. सो ऑल द पीपल हु वुड स्क्रिबल A+V in a heart, all that vanished. And the paper dropping, etc. So this was told to me by Mr. K.K. Mohammed. At that time he was the ASI chief in Delhi specifically, and he had given us permission to do World Heritage Sites accessible.
बिल्कुल. I mean, you're making it sound easy.
200 visits to the same office. Finally, they agreed. And Sitaram Yechuri had come with 20 parliamentarians to see the work done. That's how they gave us a go-ahead to do Red Fort, Fatehpur Sikri, Ajanta Ellora, Jallianwala Bagh. But in those days, it was all pro bono.
Yeah. But what was the most challenging aspect of this project that you started or
There were
initiated?
between those 200 visits, there were
Hmm.
10 times I must have said, I throw in the towel, it's useless. So it's very, very challenging to change mindsets, but that's happening slowly, steadily. So, what we've done, we worked on carriage of persons with disability with airlines, we've done urban development ministries guidelines, we've done a lot of work with the government. Tourism ministry we worked with, railways we all know is such a big problem. We are very, very well entrenched in the sports field. So para athletes, Olympics, Khelo India. We've done quite a lot of work.
But accessible toilets, I think that's a big issue, right? Has Swayam done any work around that?
Government had taken out a campaign called Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, where our target was to become open defecation free. And the government was quite success in building those toilets, yet accessibility wasn't kept in mind. Can you imagine the elderly? How would the person squat
Yeah.
and get up if they've got arthritis,
Right.
or if they have any other mobility issues? So when we went and talked to the villagers, you'd be surprised. They were willing to take a loan and create a toilet that was accessible. We gave them training how to do it. I came across people with tears in their eyes saying that you gave us our dignity back. Going to a toilet, imagine, and not being able to get from it. It was inhuman to really think about it. So we did on our own. So we reached from 11 states, we came to 14 states. We covered about 135 districts in India. India in total has about 700 districts, and we covered about 135 or something like that. All privately, all done because we believe that this has potential. And from a switch of 20% wanting English toilets, we had a jump to a 90% and still wanting more.
You had your own business doing very, very well. What kept you motivated? And it's not like you want to go to Qutub Minar every evening. So it was definitely for not for yourself. What was your inspiration?
I felt that there must be a reason. I believe in God a lot. So I feel there must be a reason why He's put me on a wheelchair and He's given me everything that my heart can desire. It's only how do I leave the world in a better way so that I'm able to contribute in maybe breaking some taboos, some myths, so that people can come out there and just be confident, just be them, and revel and bask in that glory.
You said something interesting at the start of our conversation that your parents never, mollycoddled you in any way, right?
It's very important for parents to understand that when they mollycoddle a person with disability, they actually take away the power of the seed to become a tree. And it's so important as parents. I wish parenting came with a guideline book
Or a
or something
manual.
like that, but it doesn't. And but I know for sure that if a parent decides that they want to do something wonderful with a child, that they can. And I really urge people with any kind of mobility issue, especially children, just like a mother allows a regular child to learn to walk and not be too paranoid about that the child will fall और उसको चोट लग जाएगी, but they still allow the child to walk. Despite that, they should have people with different disabilities also be able to lead a normal life. They must work towards it, because otherwise they'll just be too concerned कि मेरे बाद इसका क्या. आप अपने रहते उसका इतना सुंदर और इतना मजबूत जीवन बना दीजिए कि आपको लगे ही नहीं कि आपके बाद उसका क्या.
Bilkul. How are you as a mother? You have two sons.
They're
Yeah.
really the pride of my life,
Yeah.
and they're such a joy. I'm so blessed to be a mother.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, after meeting with an accident, I didn't know I could be a mother. But God's been very kind. I have two beautiful, healthy boys, and one of them has just finished his studies from NYU,
Wow. Okay.
and I hope he joins us soon.
Right.
And my younger one is studying in New York, and he's just finished his first year. Yeah, they're big boys now.
You're a woman full of passions. You love traveling. You love eating out. I want to know, for somebody with reduced mobility, how do you make the most of it when you're out there?
When a person is traveling, for them, very important issue is hotel accessibility of the restroom that they will use,
Right.
whether it has a step-free entrance. If it doesn't, does it have a ramp with a proper railing for them to hold on to so that they feel secure?
Yeah.
A ramp without a railing is just a showpiece. It's not really creating accessibility. It's just the structuring of the whole place. But for a person who's traveling, an accessible vehicle,
Yeah.
entrance of the hotel to be made accessible, bathroom in the hotel to be made accessible, and then the restaurants need to be made accessible too. Of course, where they will go, it needs accessibility, but for that, we'll all work together.
You've also been involved in boosting para sports through Swayam. And we also saw India's disability cricket team winning at Lords.
Yes, yes. Kamiya, sports is a very important medium. I feel when you play a sport, you have those small victories every day that gives you a high. So everybody should be playing some sport. And team sports really teach you to look beyond the problem of a person, what the person brings on the table, how you can add it and make it a 1+1 issue rather than a 0-0 issue.
Yeah.
So sports mean a lot, and yes, we worked with 2 Kilo India, the para games. Then we've now taken care of 2 Olympics, the Paris and the Tokyo, the Paralympics,
Right.
that happened along the sidelines of Olympics. So we've also supported cricket. They had an opportunity to play at the Lords, and they won at the Lords. So the pattern of it was very complex because we had 4 people with intellectual disability, 4 people with hearing impairment, and the rest of them were physically disabled.
We have a very special segment. It's called Confessions of a CEO. I'm going to ask you some tough questions, but you have to give me honest answers.
Okay.
And a rapid fire round. Okay? What's the first thing you do when you get to your office?
Pray.
Emails or phone calls?
No, I'm more of a phone call person.
WhatsApp messaging or voice notes?
Voice notes.
Yeah.
Totally lazy to type such long messages.
If you had to trade your job with one employee for a day, whose role would you take?
My peon, because I want to know what does his day look like.
Who's harder to manage? Clients, employees, or investors?
Employees.
Have you ever fired anyone?
Yes.
Ever felt guilty about firing someone?
No, not so far.
Do you get judged more for being a woman or for being a CEO or MD?
Judged for being a woman.
Ever cried in the office?
Yes.
Do you ever feel lonely at the top?
There are times. I don't think anybody will be telling you the truth if they say no.
What's the hardest truth you've learned about people while running a company?
That in a lot of ways, it'll always be them first, their requirements before anything else.
Work-life balance is a reality or a myth?
Still striving. I'll let you know when I reach there.
If you weren't the CEO tomorrow, what's the first thing you would do?
Go back to painting and music.
What do you want your team to remember for you long after you're gone?
Here's a woman who thought differently.
At any point, Sminu ji, did you ever feel, why me? Why did God do this to me?
There are lots of things that were positive in my life. So I really can't say why me, because I love those things. So a little bit of negative, and entirely it depends upon a person, that if life hands you a lemon, you should know how to make lemonade. I hope I've done that with my life.
You definitely have. I think more than that. You made a mojito out of it.
Oh,
not just a
wow.
lemonade.
Thank you.